last week. And so you sort of get this like.
Well, hello everybody. Happy Monday. Chico, we just got done eating lunch.
I think so. I think the data overall has always been sort of fitting puzzle pieces together. So I think companies are making decisions more based on gut and what they're seeing and experiencing, talking to each other, as opposed to these data points. Because, like you said, other things happen, but they're always backward looking, right? So they're not that helpful. In this particular situation with oil, duration obviously really is important, Lou. I liked what Chris Wright just said in that soundbite. He said he was talking about how the general who was speaking before him described that
Chico.
Iran's ability to strike has been slowly weakened.
So
what the IDF and the Americans are doing, and that is the key.
wrote on my post earlier. I told everybody that there's so much stuff coming out, so we gotta go to. I might even have to do 3. I don't know, but there's a lot of information coming out, a lot of good stuff. But we're gonna play it day by day and then hour by hour. I don't have to go anywhere till Wednesday when I get paid, so Wednesday will be a late one. Oh, Chico, what do you want? Hey, you say hi to everybody? Huh? You want to say hi to everybody?
Military capability, and I have confidence in that, and I think everybody else should too. This is small, not pleasant, but it's for the greater good. And
I forgot to send. What are you doing? Huh? What are you doing? Leaving already? Ow. Uh-oh. I know what that sound means.
This is a surge in business applications. And in the top right, that
get up there.
That's effectively AI, large language models. So while we're all worried about sort of the macro risk, underneath the hood of this economy, new business applications are surging. People have realized that with AI, it's so.
Hold on, I gotta get the window. Get up there.
I don't know.
Come on.
To code a business for me, to create a business, all of this. To sort of give you hope.
Relax.
Underneath the surface, that's that productivity tailwind to offset some of the headwinds that we get from days like today, the last week.
Yes, absolutely. And I think to add to your chart there, on LinkedIn, year over year,
Snap.
January 26 versus
Jim.
January 25, there's an increase
What that mean?
of people calling themselves a founder, up 68% year over year. 68%. So 2/3 more people calling themselves a founder. So yes, AI and productivity and everything that we're
First, we'll audit state government.
Giving people the confidence to go out and start businesses, and that's great for this country. It's going to offset jobs being lost elsewhere, something we've talked about for a long time. So yes, that's a great chart. It's kind of, we're not talking about that enough, I think.
Yeah, I had it open, but it's still a little chilly out. The sun's out, but he's up there laying on the window. I got some interesting videos, Tim, you might like. And squaws, if you're out there, we got Mel, 47 minutes. And Nick has a long one too. Came out. So like I said, there's I'm gonna go as long as I can on the first show, and then take a break and come back tonight. We had another good count there, Tim, last night, over 300. 500 on Sunday, and then, or Saturday, and then today or yesterday was over 3.
And there's nothing you can do to change that story fundamentally this year until you can go on camera and say to the world, and they believe
Oh,
we have operational and security
what
control.
are we going to do?
It is ours. You can take any ship you want through there, and you will have no problems. Like that's
We'll get everything all lined up here.
I think we're actually close to that, but I don't know how close. It's like when you take your car to the shop, and it's in the shop, and you don't know what's wrong with it. It might be a $3,000 bill, it might be a $500 bill, but the car's in the shop right now. I think what we need is our government to say, it's in
You
the
drinking
shop.
water?
You know, we got a tire, it's going to be on the road with me, and I can promise you when it's on the road, you can drive as fast and as far as you want.
I think we're going to get that. You brought up the reference to waiting for Godot. We're waiting for Marsh. We're going to get interest rate cuts too. That's going to supercharge that impact for you.
You positive about that?
We need something before war starts,
Okay.
which is May.
Why? Because this is very transitory.
I think when he was hired for the job, it was kind of built into the job interview that rates were coming low. It's my 2 cents.
Oh, you just opened up a can of worms at 12 after when I have to go. I have so many questions. To take down later. That was a mic drop from Mike. Live Nation, let's do it. We are getting some reports that Live Nation has reached an agreement with the Department of Justice. This is less than a week after the trial began, you guys. Huge reports. Maybe they pay $200 million in damages to participating states. Also, there's some structural changes going on in Live Nation in their ticketing business. So Ticketmaster would be required to open up parts of their platform to rival ticketing companies, allowing third-party sellers like SeatGeek or Eventbrite to list tickets on Ticketmaster's technology. Mike, we've had a lot of comments on this panel whether the government should or should not get involved in these mergers and these breakups. Is this something that you like?
Live Nation is not going to be disrupted by AI. Concerts, live music venues, those types of things, they're growing and they're going to continue to grow. So I think Live Nation's business, the stock price has been held down by this. Once it gets this behind it, the stock price is going higher than where it is right now.
Any thoughts?
I agree. It's a positive disruption here for their business.
Coming up, could the rise of AI be causing invisible layoffs? We'll discuss what it means when big money returns.
I gotta find the controller here. I gotta turn the TV down. Be right back. What are you doing, Speedy? Huh? Uh-oh. Come on, get up here. Get up here and do your job. Come on. Go to the window. Oh. Let Tim see you. Come on. Get up here. Come on. Get up here. Chico. Get up here. You good boy. Come up here. Come on. Come on before we start. Hey, Brat. Come on. Get up here. Get up here. I don't know. Come on. All right. There he is. Say hi to everybody. Huh?
Behind this advisor are Vanguard's institutional quality funds, powered by technology experts who
Huh? What? Huh? What? No, no more food. Where you going? Huh? Who's that? Who's that right there? That Chico? Huh? That Chico? Yeah.
Are you retired or planning to retire and worried your portfolio won't meet your long-term goals? Fisher Investments can help. You'll get a team of professionals working together to grow your future. As a full-time fiduciary, our goal is to grow your wealth and help you retire comfortably.
Who's that?
If your
I see you.
portfolio is $1 million or more, we have up-to-date guidance you need now.
Oh, no, you don't. Oh, no, you don't. Oh, you gotta do your job. Huh? Who's that? Who's that? You're famous. Yeah, you're famous. Famous Chico dude. All right. Ow. Get back up on the window. Get up there. Come on. Get up there. Oh, we got Chico. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Everybody's at work listening. So, oh, somebody's on live that's saying something. I wonder if Flying Eagle saw this. Yeah, Dr. Pruitt is live, and she is saying that the Matrix is collapsing. They lied about everything. Fake news.
Companies are using AI to review job applications and resumes, deciding who gets considered and ignored before a human ever looks at it.
So, there you go. There you have it, Tim. People think that they lied about the Matrix, and we don't know. I don't know why people talk about it. You know, things happen when they'll happen. I don't know why they discuss everything about all the Matrix stuff. Fake news. Fake news. Mm.
I think it's ultimately beneficial, and it's because of the productivity. Like, can it make mistakes? Can it roll out the right person?
Oh, we'll see how many we can get in chat.
Yes.
Tim's the only one in chat right now.
So I think if our economy, our society as a whole is more productive, and we're just scratching the surface of what AI can actually do right now. So as we learn, all these people starting businesses, people, new jobs coming on the market, I think using AI to be more productive and giving yourself more bottom line cash flow to go out and hire more people or to build more businesses, I think ultimately it's going to have a massive positive impact on our economy.
I hear you.
All right, so we will do the first video. I believe is 5 minutes. Chico, God darn it! Come on. Oh, it'll last about 5 minutes there in the window. All right. So everybody at work, I hope they get to listen, like Lucy and a bunch of everybody else, and hopefully we'll get crowd in. I'm not gonna play the good ones till when we get more in here. So we'll do the small channel ones. Commercial. We'll see. I'll play the music.
At protesters outside of the residence there during a protest. Now, following the incident, the mayor, he took to X and framed the incident in his own way. He failed to mention that the bomb was thrown by Muslims. Instead, he took aim at the agitator, counter-protester Jake Lang, a pardoned January 6th rioter and organizers of the protests.
Here's what he said. Yesterday, white supremacist Jake Lang organized a protest outside Gracie Mansion rooted in bigotry and racism. Such hate has no place in New York City. It is an affront to our city's values and the unity that defies who we are. What followed was even more disturbing. Violence at a protest is never acceptable. The attempt to use an explosive device and hurt others is not only criminal, it's reprehensible and the antithesis of who we are. Nick Shirley is an independent journalist who spoke with Jake Lang not too long after all of this unfolded. Before I get to that, Nick, can we talk about how this was framed? Because we just got the press briefing from the NYPD Police Commissioner, Jessica Tisch, and she, again, confirmed that this is being investigated as an act of terrorism inspired by ISIS. Whether you knew that or not, someone hurling bombs already at protesters, at people, that seems to be terrorism already. The mayor went ahead to call out Jake Lang personally. Thoughts there on the mayor's moves?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that they failed to mention that there was bombs thrown. I mean, we've had protests here in the United States for forever, and especially these past few years we've had protests, but never have there been bombs thrown. And so when you have a protest who's a protester, Jake Lang, I don't agree with everything he does or how he says it or how he goes about it. For instance, he did bring a pig in front of the mayor's mansion on Ramadan, which is a bit crazy. So, I mean, he's going out there, he knows what he's doing, but for someone to throw bombs, that's crazy.
Right. So for all of you at home, if you recognize Nick Shirley, a long way from the Leering Center in Minneapolis, he's the one that broke that entire fraud scandal open. Incredible what you did there. So you had to worry for your own safety, for your own life. And so you're seeing from the left just how violent they can become. To see what happened here in New York City by this leftist mob. We're talking about 2 American citizens. They're Muslim, but they're American citizens. Their parents, naturalized citizens, Afghanistan, Turkey, looks like very well-to-do outside of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. Are you surprised by the level of violence coming from the left?
Well, it seems like it's just getting increasingly worse, which is frightening. I mean, they killed Charlie Kirk, and now they're throwing bombs in the city.
They threatened you too.
They threatened me as well, right? So it is getting increasingly worse and worse. And then you don't have the politicians coming out and saying, okay, we got to condemn this. This is bad. This is a terrorist attack. I mean, how is that not a terrorist attack right there?
ISIS inspired, again, from the NYPD commissioner. That's dangerous in itself. And you can kind of follow that if you knew anything about TATP, those types of bombs versus TNT, typically ones that are used by terrorists or terrorist organizations. They're very unstable, but they can be made very quickly with just household items. Let's get to the other side of it, which was Jake Lang, which I believe you spoke with, insisting that this was a terror attack. Let's listen to your interview.
It goes beyond political violence. This is religious violence, first and foremost. And second of all, what we need to understand is we voted in a Muslim mayor to New York City 2 months ago, and we've had the first Muslim terrorist attack on white Christians outside the mayor's home. People need to understand there's a correlation here. These things are connected. We are not safe in New York with Zoran Mandami, the Muslim, as our mayor. He is, by his very ability to be there, he is basically sponsoring and influencing and telling these people, go out and declare jihad. By not condemning it, he's basically saying more jihads against Christians like Jake Lang.
And the importance of journalism there. I mean, obviously, you don't agree with everything that the person you were speaking with says, but you were able to get out there, ask those questions. Why do you think that was important for you to do?
It's important to get his perspective on it because he's the one who went through it. And then it also goes to show both sides of the story. You're hearing what the mayor's saying, then you're seeing what the person who they threw bombs at, what he's saying as well. I mean, I think that's what journalism is you have to talk to both sides. And it's funny because people get mad when you show one side and you also show the other side and they highlight that you showed one side more than the other.
Okay. That was a big video update from the call to terrorists.
A replicator is not science fiction. It's a device that works according to the laws of physics. Let's take a lobster, a t-shirt, or a phone, for example. In appearance, they are completely different. But if we look at them on a micro level, we'll see that they are made up of the same elementary particles. Only their number is different, and they are arranged in a different way. These particles form atoms, and atoms form molecules. Due to a given combination of these elementary particles, we get either a lobster, or a t-shirt, or a phone. The working principle of the replicator is basically to assemble the elementary particles in the proper combination to get what we need. A hot breakfast, or fashionable trousers. Moreover, they are brand new, already ironed, and of the highest quality. Everything depends on the program you've set up. For example, in order for a new gadget to appear in a replicator, you need 3 components: energy, particles from which the object will be created, the information about the sequence of their assembly. Energy has been successfully used by humanity for a long time. In the creative society, we'll be able to use both new and long discovered types of energy. Information about an object will be received by scanning the desired objects and uploaded into the replicator. A similar principle has already been implemented in beverage molecular printing technology. Any beverage is printed directly from molecules. The main thing is to have the appropriate amount of particles from which the object we need will be materialized. To do this, we need a utilizer. Unnecessary things will be put in it to be decomposed into elementary particles and placed into cartridges. And the replicator will create whatever you need with the use of the cartridges and information. So you dispose of the garbage and get everything you want. Having a utilizer, you will no longer need to wash the dishes. Just put in it dirty plates, a tablecloth with crumbs, and you're done. A replicator and a utilizer are devices about the size of your microwave or a small cupboard. The magnetic power inside them will help rearrange the particles according to a given combination. In milliseconds and at any moment, you get everything you need and completely free of charge, without harm to your health or the planet's ecology. A replicator will not only benefit every person, it will also benefit the entire planet. For example, to enjoy a delicious, fresh bun at breakfast today, a whole chain of complex production processes must occur. You need to plow a field, and you need a tractor for this. To produce a tractor and all its component parts, we have to build different factories. And all these factories emit tons of poisonous gases, whereas their wastewater contains dangerous chemical compounds. We also need raw materials that people extract from quarries and mines. To grow wheat, we need pesticides and chemical fertilizers, which poison the soil and the crops. Delivery of everything we need requires a huge expense, fuel and lubricants. We need transport, trucks, ships, and trains. Look how much damage an ordinary bun does to the environment. And the same story is in every manufacturing sector. In the creative society, all these destructive to the environment processes will disappear, as everyone will have a replicator at hand. Just press the button and here's a bun for you to eat. Everything will be enough for everyone anywhere on the planet. We'll be able to cleanse the air, the earth, and the ocean of all dangerous radioactive pollution. Garbage will become the most valuable resource, that is, a source of elementary particles for creating new, beautiful things. The creative society is a world where you will enjoy the most advanced technology and your life will be financially independent, comfortable, and prosperous.
I thought that was something different there. Interesting. Next two is 2 minutes.
Said this for 10 years.
4 minutes.
Almost 10 years. I'm not the only one. They cut the head off the snake, our military and our alliances, okay? We've been infiltrated for like millennia. You have to understand, when T said his first term, when he's inaugurated, ran the country back to you, the people, with the military. They have overturned so many things. They have laid out how to teach you how to like fight back for yourselves. They've cut out all regulations. The Chevron difference been overturned, which means all the 3-letter agencies are gone. Not once did we ever say that we're going to be saved. The entire point is to teach you guys to pay attention and fight back in your local communities. And there are so many, I have so many friends that go to fight in their local communities all the time using these tools, right? Not one person said you're going to be rescued. Not one. We've never said that. That's not the point. The point is to change everything that you've been indoctrinated on, and you push back. People have to reach the precipice. That's what's going to happen. That is what's going to happen. They're going to be so pushed, like they're going to be so mad and done. They're going to push back. But all these evil people have been taken out a long time ago. They're showing you. The only way people understand is if they see how bad the corruption is. Help yourselves. They try to meet you in the middle, the white hats. They're not here to rescue you. They're here to help you and give you the tools to fight back. Knowledge is power. Things that they done forever to take away from us understanding our rights, it's gone. And then, but what this is the other thing. They have their minions who still pay the same bills, push the same fight, still pushing the same bullshit. But they're minions. But you have the tools legally to push back. It's not hard to find on the internet. The head snake been cut off.
One minute.
It's not hard. It's not hard.
New
Not
lady
compared. Not compared to what you
TikTok.
guys have been dealing with forever. No one is going to save you. We're handing the country back to you, the people. We cut through all the red tape, gave you the tools, we showed
I
you.
don't know. Is she bad, Tim, or is that
Fake
bad
news.
one or
We didn't
not?
pay attention to the fake news for like past 7 years. We have the tools.
Sounds like
It's all there.
sounds like she's a Democrat. I don't know. What do you think? Oh yeah, Flying Eagle's working. Came in and did the banner for me. What was that one? You think Flying Eagle? Is she bad? Well, I guess this had a big. This one here has a lot of views on it. Must be a good video, you guys. God dang it.
To get there, one narrow-ish
9
road
minutes.
that goes from the highway. So you're along the highway.
New guy on YouTube.
I actually should have shared you a really good map that I have, but it's along the highway. You take a turn to this long narrow road that takes you all the way up to this compound of cabins. Along that road, there's
So you're just getting back from El Mencho's compound?
yes, I was there for 3 days.
How the do you get onto El Mencho's compound right after? I mean, he was like the most wanted guy in the world.
Yeah.
How'd you get in there?
Well, it actually wasn't that complicated. So I got a lot of questions about this, but there was a lot of press there. It was wide open. So basically, there's this compound of cabins in Tapalpa, Jalisco, which is a really common tourist destination. It's actually super nice there. When I got there like a day and a half after the operation.
Mm-hmm.
And it was super calm, really nice place. Like I felt like I was on vacation. It was super safe, really nice.
Looks beautiful.
It is. It's a pueblo mágico. It's like a.
How's it look when there are dead bodies all over the street?
There were not, and that place doesn't actually have that. They do not have crime like that. And the only really thing that stood out was like there was like a few oxos that were burned to the ground because like of the chaos that ensued following the operation. They were burning cars and businesses. But aside from that, it really wasn't that bad. We just had to go to like smaller local stores to get waters and whatever. But a lot of press was there. And this allegedly wasn't actually the place where he was captured or he was killed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's this compound with cabins, they're vacation rentals. And in front of it, there's this basically like foresty area. It's kind of within forest, I guess. And allegedly, he escaped from this cabin compound through the forest to a country club, which is right next door, where he had a really big, luxurious house. And it's like a gated country club. And that's where he was found and then shot at. Like according to the official records of his death, he had multiple gunshot wounds like in his abdomen. And that's how he was killed. And during the operation, I think 25 National Guard members of Mexico's National Guard were killed.
Whoa.
And then, yeah, that was a big hit, obviously.
Yeah.
And then there was, I think I have a lot of numbers to remember here, so I'm kind of just parking it. Yeah, but I think around 12 of El Mencho's guys were also murdered during this operation. And so I'm under the impression from being there at the cabins that his guys were staying at these cabins. And then I don't know if, I guess during the operation, he was there and then took off through the forest to the country club. So obviously having gone there is very different than just looking at pictures of it, because, well, first of all, to get into this, I'm going to call this area where the cabins are just the compound for the rest of this episode. To get there, it's one narrow-ish road that goes from the highway. So you're along the highway. I actually should have shared you a really good map that I have, but it's along the highway. You take a turn to this long narrow road that takes you all the way up to this compound of cabins. Along that road, there's maybe like 4 or 5 really luxury homes there. And then you get to the cabins. When we got there, there was no National Guard. There were no police, nothing. It was just us.
Empty.
Yeah, it was literally me and my cameraman. And
they took out Mexico's bin Laden, and the place is completely ghost town 2 days later.
Yeah. No, like, police tape, nothing. That, I don't know what that is.
Looking at, Steve?
Oh, that's the town. Yeah, that's the city center.
Oh, this is like some of the stuff you said where cars are burned.
Yeah, they burned a lot of cars. But
Kat, can we back up from
sorry,
that?
yeah, you're gonna have to help me out with this, just because so much happened
Yes.
being there. I'm like still processing
Get,
it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people
video
right now
here, you
listening.
guys.
Going, what the f? Like she's
Yeah, a lot
on
of
the
views.
side
We
of
had
this
a lot
thing,
of
but
views
what's
on
going on? Who is this guy? You've been here 3 times before this episode. We have discussed El Mencho and CJNG
And
the
I
past.
called it on the
You did call it on that last one.
I was shook. I forgot that I said that, and then I saw the clip, and I was like, actually, my dad sent it to me, and he's like, "What the? Who are you working for?" I was like, I, you know, because you kind of put all the pieces together. You know, I have so much information, and this is, I live and breathe this. So then you get to a point where you can make a pretty informed hypothesis, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of wonder when people are going to stop giving you when you report a story and say it's all made up and you have no idea what the you're talking about, because it's now been several times where you've reported a really big one and people are like, she's full of shit. She has no idea what she's talking about. And a week later, it's like, wait a minute.
Is she Mossad?
Oh, wow. I wasn't going to go there, but
no, but I get that a lot. Huh?
Are you?
I can't tell you. No. Oh my God. Now your viewers are going to literally, do I have to answer that seriously?
Do you know what show you're on right now?
I know. It's like everyone's going to be like, oh my God.
Yeah, we take this very seriously around here.
Oh my God. You need to stop, because since I got back from Ukraine, my whole shit is filled with Russian fucking.
Ukraine, tracking down El Mencho. It's all adding up. But I will say, in particularly in episode 336, when you broke the, I don't even know what to call that.
The baby
trafficking story
of
CJNG. That was the one that I got so many people reaching out like, you're an idiot. How could you ever have her on about this? I'm like, I got all the oh yeah. Because people didn't believe you. I'm like, Trump did a whole presser about it. Exactly. I said, I got all the receipts on this before we did it. I called you the second you reported that. And I was like, are you sure about this? How do you know? You told me. And then a week later, they arrest can we pull that up, Deef? La Diabla from CG.
Oh, I was in that house.
From CJNG. But like, they literally arrested the lady who was running this. The United States government helped with that. And the entire racket was exactly what you said. And effectively what they were doing, it's absolutely disgusting. But CJNG started this new racket. Deep's got it up right here. That's the psychotic bitch who was running it, Martha Alicia Mendez Aguilar, known as La Diabla. But what they were doing is they were abducting young pregnant women, vulnerable women from lower socioeconomic environments, bringing them to trap houses, forcing them to have C-sections, leaving their dead bodies on the side of the road, packaging up the babies alive and maybe sometimes dead for organ harvesting. I don't know, but at least alive, and would take them across the U.S. border and traffic them for thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and it was between CJNG and La Linea, which is still not designated a foreign terrorist organization.
Wait, why not? Can you explain La Linea to people?
Yeah, it's basically like Juarez cartel. It's the cartel that runs Chihuahua or that border state.
So why aren't they a terror group?
I don't know. That FTO designation list, I thought it would expand shortly after they first published it last year, and it hasn't.
Interesting.
And there's a lot that are missing on it, but
okay.
I don't know how that works.
Well, let's do a recap for people that haven't listened to you explain some of this before, and we'll go into more detail this time because we've never given it the full kind of treatment here. But everyone is seeing on the news, CJNG, these guys look crazy. They're seen in their social media feeds. Can you go through the history of them and who they are, where they operate, and some of the insane types of operations they do? I mean, these guys dress in full-blown special forces military gear.
Yeah, they do. And
crazy.
It's so funny because everyone who was monitoring this situation kept reposting that old ass video of like, you think that these are Mexican military? They're not. It's CJNG. It's like, yeah, we know. Like, shut up. Oh my God. It gets to a point where it's like, get with the times, people.
Thank you guys for watching the episode. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and smash that like button.
I think he has a good channel there. I think he has a lot of followers. So we'll keep an eye on his channel. Okay, the next one is 4 minutes.
Is not science fiction. It's a device that works according to the laws of physics. Let's take a lobster, a t-shirt, or a phone, for example. In appearance, they are completely different.
Sorry about that, you guys.
In court or go to court or face court, you got to witness domestic terrorism by definition, and we've done nothing about it. So I'm going to read you United States Code, Title 18, United States Code 2331. At number 5, it gives you the legal definitions of what domestic terrorism is. The term domestic terrorism means activities. This is just activities. How about that? Activities that A, involve acts dangerous to human life that are a violation of criminal laws of the United States and of any state. Do you suppose the courts would violate laws? The judge, the prosecutor, the lawyers? Check. I believe we got that one going. B, appear to be intended. This is simply intent. This is premeditated. It's intent, what you wanted. Number 1 is to intimidate or coerce the civilian population. I believe we got that one in full check. Check. Number 2, to influence the policy, not laws, the policies of government by intimidation and coercion. What? All it takes is a policy? Well, then that would mean court rules are policies. They're not law. The concept of the decorum and the dignity of the court, that's an opinion. That's not law. That's a policy that people follow. Let's just go. Check. Yep, that one's handled too. How about number 3 under B? It says to affect the conduct of a government. It is to affect the conduct of the government by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping. Have you ever been held in contempt and pulled over and put in a courtroom? That'd be kidnapping under that definition. You ever been accused of something you didn't do? Accused of something you did do, but they made you a slave because of the 13th Amendment of the United States says that no involuntary servitude or slavery shall exist except if you're convicted of a crime. Oh, I'll be damned. Check. B3 is accounted for. And then C, occur primarily within the territorial jurisdiction of the United States. Oh, I'll be damned. All it requires is for these things to happen in the United States. Every aspect of that is the very nature of how our legal system works in this country. Do you not realize that?
3 minutes.
That's because they're not our judicial branch. They are not the judicial branch. The judicial branch is absent, and it's in your constitutions, and it lets you know. Sure is. Did you know that in case of crime, there's only 4 jurisdictions, and the court that you enter into doesn't meet any of those jurisdictions? If you're accused of a crime, you need to be in your circuit court. Your circuit court has history older than your country and your constitution. Did you know that? No, you didn't, did you? Did you know that the circuit court, by definition, was the common law court? You don't need to scream you need a common law court. You have the circuit court. You need the appropriate 3 judges as prescribed by the Northwest Ordinance of 1787, the United States Constitution of 1789, and your state constitution. All make room for that. Those were rules pre-existing to us becoming a nation that we brought into this country, and our constitutions allow us to have that. But for some reason, our legal system, which is, the best I can tell, nothing more than a bunch of banking administrative pretenders, actors, calling it a court. Grown men wearing black dresses is about what it comes down to. I suppose they wear their wives' black panties too underneath it, but I am no expert in that. But I'm going to have to guess that the fact of the matter is our legal system is not our lawful system. Legal, by definition, is to do that which is otherwise unlawful to do. They both have a place. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that commerce, which is all that is in banking, doesn't have its place. It does. And it has to be controlled and mandated, I'm sure. Otherwise, we would go off the rails. But when one system usurps the power of the other, we don't have checks and balances. And if you're following me, you know that I'm a firm believer that checks and balances is necessary. When we're a 2-branch government and not a 3-branch government, we have no checks and balances. But inside of our constitutions, it says that the president, which is the chief judge, and 2 associate judges are to run the circuit or the circuit court. And if you study Blackstone's makes it very clear, attorneys cannot sit in those positions. So attorneys only can operate from the legal, the fiction, the feminine, abstract mindset. These courts that they operate in are nothing more than deal mills. You come in, it doesn't matter if you've done it or not. Instead of giving you 25 years, why, we'll give you a year and 5 years probation. They make a deal. Why? Because they write bonds on those cases. It's a money machine. It's a money trap. And nobody understands or knows why or how this whole thing even works. This is a farm boy. It's time for us to start learning, and you're going to start hearing about it.
Farm boy. I might have played that a while back. I don't remember, but some people might have missed it. Okay, we got the next one. See what we got here.
The conditions for the third temple. When God intervenes so dramatically that the entire world witnesses it, when the invading armies are destroyed supernaturally, the political landscape shifts. Israel's spiritual eyes open.
About 4 minutes.
Ezekiel 39, verse 22, says that from that day forward, the people of Israel will know that the Lord is their God. After such a divine rescue, the resistance to the temple crumbles. What was impossible becomes inevitable. Ezekiel saw it all: the war, the victory, the awakening, and the temple that follows. Let me show you what you have just witnessed. Ezekiel prophesied that Israel, scattered and dead as a nation for 2,000 years, would rise again. In 1948, that prophecy was fulfilled. Ezekiel prophesied that the divided Jewish people would return from every nation and become one people again. Jews from over 100 countries have returned to Israel. That is happening now. Ezekiel prophesied that a coalition of nations led by a power from the far north would invade Israel. Russia, Iran, and Turkey are allied today. That is setting up now. Ezekiel prophesied a third temple with exact measurements. Every condition to build it exists. That is ready now, fulfilled, unfolding, setting up, ready. 4 prophecies, 1 prophet, 100% accuracy. But there is something you need to understand about these prophecies. They are not random predictions scattered across history. They are a sequence, a pattern, and the pattern reveals something about the God who designed it. The first prophecy, dry bones, seemed the most impossible. A nation extinct for 2,000 years brought back to life.
I wrote up my post.
No precedent in human history. Yet it happened exactly as Ezekiel said, on the exact timeline God intended. Not early, not late. In 1948, when the world was ready to witness it. The second prophecy, 2 sticks, required something even more impossible. Not just bringing Israel back, but reuniting tribes that had been separated for 3,000 years. Gathering people from 100 nations who had forgotten each other, who spoke different languages, who lived in different cultures, and making them one people again. It is happening now, not because humans planned it, because God is keeping his word. The third prophecy, Gog and Magog, names nations that were enemies of each other when Ezekiel wrote it. Russia and Persia had nothing in common. Turkey and Iran were not allies, yet today, for the first time in history, they are aligned exactly as Ezekiel described. Not because diplomats engineered it, because God said it would happen, and God does not lie. The fourth prophecy, the third temple, requires political conditions that did not exist 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Yet today, every single element is in place. The vessels, the priests, the plans, the red heifers, everything.
Thanks.
Not because activists made it happen,
short ones
because the same God who spoke it 2,500 years ago is bringing it to pass. Do you see the pattern? Each prophecy was impossible. Some scholars believe the Gog and Magog.
Okay, that's another different one that we don't normally play. I got a few other ones. Well, here's one here. Oh, wait. There's another one. Not sure of you guys.
Who have been laughed, abused on social media, and called insane for years, but who still stand up for what you believe in and try to get the truth out to the public. You have lost friends and family. You have been ridiculed, and yet you still speak your truth. For all the hippies, light workers, starseeds, way showers, and alternative therapists who have always felt alienated and different, but never stopped being that person who tries to offer a different perspective to things. You have learned about energy healing, about crystals, Mother Gaia, and healing therapy, while those around you laughed. You were always different and weird, and never were one for conforming. For all the sensitives and all the empaths whose heart break knowing about the human trafficking and the pedophile rings, and even worse. To the ones who woke up and realized what was going on in the world and had to have their hearts shattered into a million pieces, while everyone in their life simply thought they were losing their minds. You had to face all of that alone, and it broke your heart. But you did it, and you faced that dark night of the soul like a king and queen. For those old souls who try every single day to help humanity, who feel isolated and different, and who have lost many friends and family members in the process of waking up. To the ones who don't go out anymore, the ones who research until days have passed by, and to the ones who stood up and dared to say what nobody else would. To all of you who have dedicated your life to this ascension process, I take my hat off to each and every one of you. This process is the hardest thing anyone will ever have to do, and you had to do it first. Every single day, more and more people are waking up.
Thanks,
And I
Angie.
know it's hard, and you're feeling exhausted and sometimes drained by the negative response you're getting. But I want to ask you, please stay strong, because this battle will be over soon, and the world will know what we do and why we did it. Where we go one, we go all. This time will be spoken about in history, and your efforts to awaken and heal humanity will affect not only our existence on planet Earth, but it will affect everything throughout the universe. This is a galactic event, and you have chosen this assignment before you incarnated into this timeline. You chose to be here right now. You are a divine being. Remember who you are. We got this.
Well said, amen on that one. And sorry if I played it again, but those videos are very important to keep playing to everybody. But I don't think I played that one. I don't know. Yeah, Angie, so told everybody that when you got the news, you have to do a lot of stuff. It's like being a news reporter, like what Nick Shirley does. But I air it and he reports it. Like, there's so much stuff coming out now. But we'll probably be doing 2 shows again. I got 3 20-minute videos that are good ones. Plus, we got Mel 47 minutes from last night. But I might wait to play that one tonight when everybody's here, I think. So we'll continue on a couple more short ones. This is a recap of this lady, 4 minutes.
There's a lot of people awake, and there's a lot of people that are totally comatose. They're not even sleepers. They're not even sleepers. I think people have a hard time believing stuff if they don't want to believe it, or it's going to break their heart. They don't want to accept certain facts. It's like Biden lovers, and now it's come out that that wasn't the real Biden. Biden lovers, I'm sure, are having a hard time believing that. Just like people that love Governor DeSantis, which I was one of them until I found out, and then I was disappointed, whatever, but I wasn't in denial. I did more research.
Bad?
And
DeSantis is bad?
As far as John Ritter, and he would have been way too old to play DeSantis. You guys got to wake up. Central casting. Wake up. Whether it's going to disappoint you, make you upset, sad, it's not something you want to hear. You need to wake up. You're watching a movie. Just like you're watching a movie, and I don't understand what's so hard about that. People cannot snap out of the brainwashing that we've gone through since our whole lot. Like, you need to think outside the box and wake up. There's makeup, there's masks. Don't sit there and say, oh my God, that's impossible, because no, it's not. No, it is not. You need to wake up. It's like I've been saying, that is not the biblical Israel over there. No, it's not. If you do a little research, you can see that us conspiracy theorists are not lying. That was a state created in 1948. That is not the biblical Israel. That is Zionists over there. They are anything but holy. And now Candace Owens, is starting to come out and say the same thing. So that will wake up maybe some people that really like Candace Owens, you know. The stuff we're saying is coming true. It's rolling out for people to see. It's just that these people do not want to believe it's even possible. So there will be a good portion that never, ever wake up. So be it. So be it. Let them stay asleep. Living in a fairy tale. I want to be awake myself. I wouldn't want to be like that. They're almost comatose to me. It's like they're soulless people almost. I don't understand it. So anyways, hang tight. Keep doing your research, people. It's much better to know what's really going on around you or what's to come than to be totally asleep. It really is. Have a great day.
Yeah, she does short clips like that other lady on TikTok. Another 3-minute one.
Made with quality.
Let's check in on the city of Clawson, Michigan, and their city council meeting.
We are going to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Why is she there? She doesn't stand up. She's there.
Whoa, excuse me, lady. Yeah, you, the one pretending she's busy with something. What are you doing? You do realize everyone is standing and saying the pledge? What in the liberal is going on here?
There are times I do not stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. It's not political theater.
Let's stop the tape there. How long has she been doing this? February 17th, the previous meeting. There she is, sitting on her ass again. January 20th, she stands but says nothing. Stands but says nothing. Again and again. Okay, that's enough. We got it. So she wasn't getting enough attention by not moving her mouth, so she had to sit down and be a Colin Kaepernick revolutionary. Okay, go ahead. Keep going, lady.
The reason I remain seated comes down to the final words of the pledge. With liberty and justice for all. Words have meaning to me.
Oh, to you.
And I cannot stand in affirmation of those words unless I believe we are fully living up to them. Not because I want to believe them, but because I need to believe them. Right now, our nation is experiencing division and loss. There are families who are grieving and communities who are wrestling with questions of justice and equality.
So we're only going to get vague generalities, huh? Let me guess. No kings, F ICE, Renee Good should be a saint?
Patriotism is the courage to say we can do better. My decision is rooted in integrity, and when I stand, I want it to mean something. When I speak words, I need to believe them. Choosing not to stand is not about disrespect. I promise you. For me, it's an act of respect. Patriotism is not about standing on command. Patriotism is about standing for principles. Thank you.
Complete slop. Let's take a look at her liberal friend here who was moved to clapping by this brave speech. You'll be shocked to know that she is trying to get the council to ditch the prayer that comes right after the pledge. Notice how they refuse to stand for the guy giving the prayer while everybody else does? Seems like a simple sign of respect they could give, but maybe this is a decision rooted in integrity too.
So, how many more prayers am I going to have to sit through? How long are they going to be? Who are they going to offend?
To me, short of just removing it, I can't think of another equitable way of going about it other than moving it under us. So, yeah.
Terrible.
Lumen came to us and with the clear need that we have to connect Gen AI customers. We basically need to put more.
Can't believe people like that. They shouldn't be living in America. They don't want to respect the flag in our country. Okay, my first 20, we got about 15 on Nick here, and then we'll do George is 20, and then I got a third one. Actually, 14 minutes.
Mind absolutely blown, but not if you're a close follower of this channel, because I actually predicted this about 3 weeks ago. So without further ado, let's dive right in. President Trump set the world on fire and sent shockwaves through the country today as he drops the massive bombshell that the FBI has secretly seized election records from Arizona's largest county as voting probe expands. So the FBI has seized evidence from Maricopa County, and we predicted this 3 weeks ago when it was revealed that the affidavit in Fulton County, Georgia.
Oh my God, you guys. Well, we got a lot to cover. The Levine just came out now. 27 minutes. Oh boy.
The evidence was referred to the FBI by Kurt Olson. Okay, we saw that line in the affidavit. And Kurt Olson worked on Carrie Lake's lawsuit in Arizona following the 2022 election debacle. So I had a feeling that if Kurt Olson was referring evidence about Georgia to the FBI, he was probably going to refer evidence to the FBI about Arizona. And by the way, Kurt Olson, Brian Blem, they faced massive persecution just for challenging the deep state and challenging the election results. I mean, they were investigated. There was potential disbarment, potential sanctions. But now that Trump is back in office, Kurt Olson was appointed by the president to be the director of election integrity and security. So imagine the level of vindication right now as the FBI is expanding its probe from not just Fulton County, Georgia, but finally targeting Maricopa County, Arizona as well, where we know there was fraud. So ladies and gentlemen, let's get into this article and let's talk about what we know, and let's try to piece it all together so that we can get a good understanding of what exactly is going down in Maricopa County, Arizona. So the FBI is expanding its criminal probe into suspected election irregularities, secretly obtaining a large tranche of voting records from Arizona's largest county with a recent grand jury subpoena. Multiple people familiar with the probe told Just the News. Now, that alone is very significant because if there's a grand jury subpoena, that means there's grand jury proceedings going on, and they are subpoenaing evidence to determine if there is enough evidence to charge somebody with a crime, which means that there's actively a pursuit to find out if a criminal prosecution is warranted in Maricopa County based on evidence. Now, the sources who spoke on condition of anonymity because of the secrecy of the grand jury probe said that FBI agents are receiving gigabytes of electronic election data from Maricopa County about a month after the Bureau first disclosed an investigation into election irregularities by raiding a warehouse near Atlanta and seizing ballots from the 2020 election conducted in Fulton County, Georgia's largest metropolis. Now, the question here is whether or not they obtained electronic evidence from the 2020 election or the 2024 election, or even 2022. It's tough to say here based on what we're getting, because the 2024 election is still under the legal retention period, which means that the county has to maintain the evidence. They have to preserve it for a period of 22 months by law following an election. So the 2024 election is still under that retention period. They would still have that evidence, and the subpoena could have been pertaining to 2024. It could also have been related to the 2020 election, because we know that because of the massive audit that was conducted in Maricopa County, there was high resolution forensic images that were taken of all the ballots, and a lot of electronic evidence is still in preservation following that audit. So even though the county has destroyed the physical ballots and all the evidence of the physical evidence in Maricopa County, the forensic evidence that was obtained during the audit still exists and can be legally part of an investigation from the FBI. Now, we do have this little detail here, which makes me believe it might be related to 2024, because it says more recently, the Bureau was alerted to a report filed by Republican and Democrat election observers who believed they observed irregularities in November 2024 at a warehouse in Arizona, where blank and filled out absentee ballots were observed in the same location, according to the sources. Congress has never released the report from the staffers who were sent to observe the 2024 election in Maricopa County, which includes Arizona's largest city of Phoenix. Now, here's where things get really explosive when we get into probably the most important detail of this report. We have a Democrat and a Republican that were inside an election warehouse on election night in 2024. And take a look at this. This is what they observed. So they say that they had photos of the ballots and storage facility, which they described as heavily guarded. And they say inside that facility were ballots from multiple states' elections. Now, that's pretty odd, don't you think? Why would a Maricopa County storage facility have ballots from other states besides Arizona? Now, not only did they report seeing ballots from other states in this Maricopa County storage facility, but they're also saying that they saw blank ballots and filled out ballots in that same facility. So if we're saying we saw ballots that were already filled out from other states in a warehouse in Maricopa County, Arizona, and we've got pictures of it all, well, no wonder a grand jury was willing to authorize a subpoena to go seize evidence in Maricopa County, because clearly that would constitute evidence of a crime. And if you have pre-filled out ballots from other states in Maricopa County, then you can almost guarantee that the FBI is also investigating those states as well. And so this probe is going to continually expand, not just Fulton County, Georgia, not just Maricopa County, Arizona, but this is going to be a massive probe that extends to states across the country. Now, my mind instantly goes to Runbeck Election Services as a potential culprit, and those of you guys that know me well know exactly why. Because Runbeck is like a massive private company that impacts, as they say on their own website, 54% of the nation's registered voters. They are a private company which handles things like printing and mailing mail-in ballots, election mail sorting and processing, ballot printing on demand, meaning they print ballots for multiple states across the country. They also are integral in the signature matching process of mail-in ballots. Did you know this? Did you know that in Arizona, what they actually do in terms of checking the signatures on the mail-in ballots to see if they match? What they do is they take all their mail-in ballot affidavits, they send it off to a private company, Runbeck Election Services. Then that company takes images of the ballot affidavits and then sends those images back to Arizona to check them. So Arizona is not actually checking the physical ballot signatures. They are checking images, which they get back from Runbeck. Now, that was a central focus of a lot of the the election skeptics and conspiracy theorists out there. We all kind of had a feeling that there was something wrong with Runbeck. And so here's the thing. And let's tie this all together. We actually had Congressman Abe Hamadeh, remember him? He ran to be Attorney General in the 2022 election in Arizona against the Democrat Chris Mays. And they said that he lost, and it was one of the closest elections in American history.
Culture and business. Puerto Rico, it's not what's next, it's where.
You can't spell anything without AI. And AI.
Well, Abe Hamadeh actually filed a lawsuit following that election, and he also sent a formal criminal referral to Attorney General Pam Bondi regarding this exact report that we're talking about. And he asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to investigate Runbeck Election Services because he reported the boxes of blank ballots that were being stored with the live ballots. And so why does this all matter? How is this all related? Because based on this report from the election observers that saw the blank and filled out ballots from multiple states mixed in with Maricopa's live ballots, he took that report and that evidence and called on the Attorney General to investigate Runbeck Election Services. And now, come to find out, there was a grand jury operating in secrecy, and they've been investigating this evidence, and now subpoenas are flying, and they're trying to get the evidence to see whether or not a crime has been committed to potentially convict the bad actors of crimes. So this is all related. And when we talk about Runbeck Election Services and ballots from other states, that tells me that this doesn't stop at Arizona. This doesn't stop at Fulton County, Georgia. This is a massive probe, which is going to extend into many states across the country, and a lot of bad actors could be hit with criminal charges very soon. Now, the report from the election observers relates to the 2024 election, but we also have this little caveat relating to the 2020 election. So this right here says that the Arizona Senate conducted a massive audit after the 2020 election affected by COVID-19 and concluded there were irregularities. One of the Senate's most stunning findings was an estimate that more than 200,000 ballots with mismatched signatures may have been counted without being reviewed or cured in Maricopa County. More than 8 times the 25,000 signature mismatches requiring curing that had been acknowledged by the county. And so that was one of the major findings in the 2020 election audit. They found that there was 200,000 ballots where the signature on the ballot affidavit did not match the voting records, even though during the actual election, they only flagged 25,000 ballots to be cured. So that means 175,000 ballots were counted, even though the signatures didn't match. And what's supposed to happen is the election workers, they look at the signature on the ballot affidavit, then they compare it to the voter records, and they see if there's a match. And if there's any discrepancy, it's supposed to get flagged. And you either reject the ballot or you contact the voter to give them an opportunity to prove that it was actually their signature on the ballot, and that's called curing. Well, they never even flagged these 175,000 ballots. They just passed them through. They accepted them. They didn't even flag them, even though in the course of the audit, they found that these signatures did not match, which means 175,000 ballots were counted, even though they should not have been counted. And if the signature matching process is part of this investigation and part of this probe, then it gets even more explosive and more interesting, because if you follow this channel closely, then you know that currently there is a lawsuit from the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice under Harmeet Dillon. The DOJ is suing Arizona and 25, 30 other states that are refusing to hand over their states' voter rolls, and other evidence pertaining to elections. And the states are stonewalling and trying to block the DOJ from getting their hands on this election evidence. Well, what makes this really interesting and explosive is that if there's a grand jury investigating, then they could potentially subpoena these states' voter rolls and whatever other evidence is pertaining to the investigation, and they could supersede and veto the county officials that are trying to block the DOJ from getting their hands on that stuff and therefore bypass the legal process and stonewalling in the courts. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is massive. This is explosive. This is vindication like never before. And we are going to finally get the truth about what happened in not just the 2020 election, the 2022 election, the 2024 election, it sounds like. And we're not talking just about Georgia or Arizona. We are talking about all of the bad actors that are involved in election fraud nationwide. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have been maintaining for quite some time that there is most definitely things going on behind the scenes that we are not aware of. And it's easy for us to get wrapped up in the fact that we haven't seen any high-level arrests just yet. But, ladies and gentlemen, these things take time. And definitely we can say for sure that things are certainly happening. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very...
Okay, that's the first Nick video. So we're going to do George, then I got another 20-minute one, and then I'll do Billy Bean.
My life answered the call. Trump. No.
19 minutes.
Look, this is amazing. This morning, I woke up pretty early and like 6 a.m. It was weird. And I just saw on Truth Social that Trump had posted something. And I thought, okay, who is he attacking today? Who's he calling the sleazebag? Who's he? What is it? What's going on? And then I see election integrity. I see that he has confirmed that the FBI has raided Maricopa County and seized election records pertaining to the 2020 election, which we were told was safe and secure, and the 2024 election. A grand jury investigation is open. Didn't even know that. And I'm just like, whoa, this is awesome. You know, they say the way to a man's heart is food. You know, it's a good, well-cooked meal. Wrong, okay? Life isn't just what goes into your tum-tum, you fat bastards. No, the way to my heart is election integrity. You know, if you want to get into my head and go into my soul and go into my heart and I love you forever, give me election integrity, safe and secure elections. And that's what's going on. So this is the Truth Social post that Trump put out confirming the Just the News report, saying, great, the FBI secretly seized those election records from Arizona's largest county as voting probe expands. So a similar situation in Fulton County, they just did it in Maricopa County. This is awesome. And we're going to look into this Just the News report here from John Solomon. And then I'm going to show you just a rundown clip, but here's what's going on. So the FBI is expanding their criminal probe into suspected. Nothing to suspect, man. It happened. It's real. Remember 2022, Kari Lake got completely shafted. It was rigged. Look at this. She supposedly lost in 2022 by 17,000 votes. You know, in hindsight, wow, it was close. No, they took a month. to count and get enough votes for Katie Hobbs to remain in the lead. It was a disaster. On election day, they ran out of ballots. They ran out of paper ballots, knowing Kari Lake voters vote in person. It was deliberate. Maricopa County totally, I wouldn't say they screwed it up. It was corrupt. It was intentional. In 2020, Trump supposedly lost by 11,000 votes. Again, it looked close. It wasn't at all. None of it was real. It was fortified. So they're not suspected irregularities. Much of it has been confirmed. The audit in 2021 revealed how these signatures weren't even verified at all. You know, they say, you know what? You don't need voter ID. We can verify your signature. That's how we keep the election secure. But they don't even verify the signatures. Anyways, so they secretly obtained a large tranche of voting records from Arizona's largest county with a recent grand jury subpoena. Multiple people familiar with the matter told Just the News. The sources, who spoke only on condition of anonymity because of the secrecy of the grand jury probe, said FBI agents are receiving gigabytes of electronic election data from Maricopa County about a month after the Bureau first disclosed an investigation into election irregularities by raiding a warehouse near Atlanta, the Fulton County election facility. Okay, the subpoena comes 5 years after the GOP-led Arizona State Senate conducted a lengthy investigation into the 2020 election. It wasn't lengthy, and they tried their best to cover up a lot, and concluded there were significant irregularities. More recently, the Bureau was alerted to a report filed by Republican and Democrat election observers who believed they observed irregularities in November 2024 at a warehouse in Arizona where blank and filled out absentee ballots were observed in the same location. Okay. Wow. So the FBI got tipped off by observers, both Democrat and Republican, saying they pulled shenanigans again in 2024 in Arizona. Is anyone surprised? Congress has never released the report from the staffers who were sent to observe the 2024 election in Maricopa County, which includes Phoenix. But House Administration Committee Chairman Brian Steele recently hinted at the significance of the report in an interview with Just the News. We're digging back through those reports that were submitted by our election observers that were deployed across the country. This is where the working hand in glove with other federal government agencies is so important. We have reports documenting instances that occurred in Arizona and across the country, and we are reviewing those in real time and working with federal partners. Okay. The FBI likely to expand ballot-related searches everywhere. The sources said the joint report filed by one GOP and one Democratic observer who were in Maricopa County on election night included photos of the ballots in the storage facility, which they described as heavily guarded and having ballots from multiple states' elections. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's crazy. An election facility in Maricopa County had ballots from other states' elections? Are they talking about Runback, the absentee balloting contractor that prints ballots? And because if they're not, then this is crazy. Like if it's just like some random facility in Maricopa County that's not, you know, Runback's facility, the private company, that would mean that's a national scandal. Officials said the report was one of several foundations for the subpoena executed by the FBI in recent days. Sources said the FBI is likely to execute searches and subpoenas in other states beyond Georgia and Arizona in coming weeks. Wow. Hey, Tulsi Gabbard, Trump, the whole team, they're serious, ladies and gentlemen. They're serious. The Bureau has been coy about the full extent of its probe, but the unsealed indictment affidavit from its raid of Fulton County's election center made it clear that the Bureau is looking at possible violation. Okay, look, we have to speak in, non-definitive terms. I get it. But possible. These words are my triggers, man. Possible Of course there were violations. What do you mean possible? Federal laws that require election administrators to follow state laws when sending out and counting ballots. FBI Special Agent Hugh Raymond Evans told the court the Bureau has substantiated some major irregularities in how votes were counted in Georgia's largest urban area in the aftermath of the 2020 election, and is probing whether those failures were intentional efforts to violate federal election law. Okay, so the FBI has already confirmed the irregularities with the data they took from Fulton County. Now they're looking into whether or not it was intentional. Okay, so they've already confirmed the shenanigans. So it's a fact now. Some of those allegations have been disproven, while some of the allegations have been substantiated, including through admissions by Fulton County. This warrant application is part of an FBI criminal investigation into whether any of those improprieties were intentional acts that violated federal law. Concerns about election counting in Arizona, specifically Maricopa County, stretch back more than a decade as the state moved to mostly mail-in ballots. In the old days, Democrats were the early complainants. More recently, Republicans like President Trump, Kari Lake, and now Abe Hamadeh have raised concerns about the state's ballot distribution and counting systems. The Arizona Senate has conducted a massive audit after the 2020 election, blah, 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 and you can read the full report on signature verification. I wonder if, because I remember it was pretty damning stuff, like over 200,000 mail-in ballots with mismatched signatures. So without being reviewed, cured, that's insane. And that was a detailed report. I remember in August of 2021 when that came out. It was significant. So here's John Solomon giving a rundown of what's going on.
The FBI has decided that the history of Maricopa County is problematic and that under federal law, a county or a state must administer the election the way their state laws do require it. If they don't, it is a federal legal violation. This is why they raided Fulton County, another place with a long history of irregularities and misconduct and, quite frankly, just incompetent election counting. And so the focus in this grand jury subpoena that went in the last few days to Maricopa County, seized many gigabytes of election data, is the 2024 election, which is interesting because President Trump won there. But there is a discovery that was made by congressional observers. Every year, the House Administration Committee sends observers, one Democrat, one Republican, to various voting centers. One of the teams, the Republican-Democrat team that went to Maricopa County, observed something very disturbing. They took pictures. They wrote a long report. Congressman Abe Hamadeh hinted at this in an oversight letter recently. The information in that report was so troubling to the FBI, and when coupled to the things that the Arizona Senate found in 2020 that were raised as concerns, and the things that Hamadeh and Kari Lake raised in 2022, they were able to get a grand jury subpoena from a federal grand jury and execute the transmission of a large amount of voter data. They're going to go through that data, looking for some of the telltale signs that were in this congressional report. I hope in the next couple of days to make that congressional report public so everybody can see what it was that observers on Brian Stiles' House Administration Committee saw. Brian Stile himself acknowledged that they were working with federal authorities on this specific Arizona matter. So you got Congress working with the FBI. And I think this is phase 2 of about a 5-phase look at states, particularly blue states or blue areas of states, where elections are not administered the way the law says they're supposed to be. And as a result, the FBI may come in and prosecute people because it is a federal felony if you don't follow your state's laws, if you don't treat everybody the same under your state laws.
Awesome. Okay, so this is great. This is great. You know, I'll be honest. I did not think we were going to get raids, you know, after month 6. I was starting to think like they forgot about the 2020 election. They forgot about the past criminal activity. Like, I was starting to think like maybe they just moved on. They just said we're going to focus on governing. But it looks like the Trump administration is putting their foot on the gas. They're saying, yeah, we need to actually secure these elections. And, you know, these raids, seizing all this information, it is a deterrence. Because if you're an election official in a blue state or in a swing state, you're gonna check your records. You're gonna make sure, you know, things aren't slipping through. So this is important. Like, and the difference between the Trump FBI in 2020 versus now is back then the FBI was incompetent and corrupt. It didn't know anything about election integrity. And if it did, it was participating in cheating. But now this Trump FBI, it seems like, yeah, they're targeting things that are relevant, you know, the voter rolls. And people are angry. Why are they suing in federal court instead of just like going in and seizing the voter rolls? It's easier to get it done in the courts, because if you try to seize the voter rolls, they'll sue and then you have this long delay. So it's smarter to just go to the courts. And when you have the courts sanctioning the voter rolls reviewing process, that's way different than, you know, just the DOJ forcing these states to do this. The courts forcing them, you know, puts them in a lot of jeopardy. So it's a much better strategy. It's cleaner, but it takes longer. So they're targeting the voter rolls, which is the biggest problem, right? These bloated voter rolls where they can manufacture dead voters. That's great. Now they're targeting specific instances, irregularities, taking information in. That's awesome. That's good. My hope is the data is still there and it hasn't been deleted. You know, federal law mandates that for 22 months subsequent to a federal election, election officials are to maintain the records. That's a great law, but we are in a modern age. I don't know why we have to do only 22 months. I think we can do 10 years. Like, especially now that we, you know, scan all the ballots and make them into ballot images, everything is digital. We should be keeping these records for 20 years, for 10 years, forever. We have enough data centers to store everything for, you know, hundreds of years. The blockchain could store everything. After 5 years, 4 years, publish it on the blockchain. I don't know why we have to delete it and worry about, you know, its preservation. We shouldn't need a court order to preserve files that could reveal something as treasonous as election fraud. It should just be a norm that we preserve all the data all the time. And that's a deterrence as well. Because if the bad actors know the data is going to be stored, they just won't bother. It's going to be really hard to cheat. So I love what's going on. It's like the earliest live stream I've ever done. My brain hasn't even woken up yet. Need an update on Tina Peters. So the Colorado appellate courts rejected her appeal, but apparently there's a strong chance that Jared Polis, the governor, will commute her sentence on his way out. So, you know, there's a lot of reports on that now. You know, the left-wing media, the left-wing mob that runs the state of Colorado is trying their best to steer Polis away from that decision. But if Jared Polis does that, like, that'd be awesome. Trump can't do anything. He tried to get her moved to federal prison so he could do something with releasing her. The only thing Trump could have done or should do is a widespread nationwide investigation into election machines and everything else, tried to decertify these machines, and then Tina Peters suddenly looks like a whistleblower as opposed to what Colorado has, made her out to be. But anyways, I pray for that guy, Jared Polis, that he just does the right thing before, leaving office.
Just went over.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, something just got in my eye. What are you guys like? Some of you guys are like, something's happened. Like, what are you throwing at me? like, where did this come from? Like someone's just sitting somewhere like, here's a rock.
Hey.
Here's like a little feather that enters your eye. That's crazy. Anyways, yeah, I'm in a good mood because of this raid on Maricopa County. Like, this is the most objectionable county. Like, they make it so obvious. Anyways, Lord, I pray for justice to be done.
Okay, that's the latest one on George. We haven't done in a while. I got 2 4-minute ones and then another 20-minute one. Dang it.
Suspects' clothes may have been purchased from Walmart, but they're not exclusively available at that store.
Right now, Savannah Guthrie shares a new message for hope as a piece of evidence found near the scene of her mother's disappearance could provide some answers.
Ashley Banfield, who hosts her own podcast called Drop Dead Serious, is breaking exclusives on this case like nobody's business. And yesterday, she had quite a doozy.
When FBI agents stepped inside Nancy Guthrie's house after her abduction, they expected broken glass, forced entry, signs of a struggle. Instead, they found something far worse, a house that looked almost normal. Almost. The doorbell camera had been toggled off from the inside. Not ripped out, not smashed. Quietly switched off by someone who knew exactly where it was. The back door, the only entry point without a deadbolt, was wide open. And on the kitchen counter, Nancy's sleeping pills, the ones she took every night at 10, sat untouched, meaning whoever came for her arrived before she ever had the chance to take them. Agents moved room to room, and one detail kept hitting them. Nothing was broken because nothing needed to be. Whoever did this didn't break in. They'd been invited in. They'd had dinner here. They knew this house better than the agents searching it. And what investigators uncovered next confirmed the worst thing anyone could have imagined. The footage nobody was supposed to see. 6 miles from that house, inside a windowless FBI interrogation room, the man who fit that description was already seated. Nancy Guthrie's son-in-law. Still wearing the pajamas he had on when a SWAT team put a battering ram through his front door at 4:30 in the morning. Hair matted, eyes swollen, but already performing, blinking under the fluorescent lights with this theatrical confusion, like a man who couldn't possibly fathom why federal agents had just dragged him out of bed. And here's the thing. Every second of what happened next was captured on camera. This interrogation footage was sealed inside a federal case file, never intended for the public, but it leaked. And what it shows over the next 6 hours is a man dismantling himself in real time. 2 agents sit across from him. Lead interrogator, Special Agent Russell Dante, a 23-year veteran out of the FBI's Violent Crimes Division, known internally for one very specific talent: cracking suspects who walk in believing they're the smartest person in the room. His partner, a younger agent, barely speaks for the entire 6 hours, but his pen never stops moving. Every flinch, every micro-expression, documented. Here's where it all starts going wrong. Agent Dante reads the Miranda warnings. The son-in-law waves them off like they're a formality, doesn't pause, doesn't think. He declines a lawyer with the casual arrogance of a man who's already decided he's going to outmaneuver 2 federal investigators and walk out of this building before lunch. That single decision, made in under 3 seconds, destroyed his life.
No one's been cleared. Everyone's a suspect. So it is not inappropriate to start where all law enforcement starts, which is with the family, and work out. That's what you're doing. You would be doing that even if your law enforcement source had not said that the brother-in-law may be the prime suspect.
His opening performance is polished. I have absolutely no idea why I'm here. I would never hurt Nancy. She's my mother-in-law. I love her like my own mother. Hands flat on the table, steady eye contact, every word rehearsed. He'd clearly spent time preparing for this. What he didn't prepare for was Russell Dante. The last night. When agents asked him to walk through the evening, Nancy disappeared. He delivered his timeline with the kind of smooth consistency that only comes from practice. Nancy came over for dinner. They played card games, her favorite, the same one she'd been playing since her daughters were small. She was in great spirits. Around 9:45, he volunteered to drive her home because it was getting dark. Now, here's the detail that matters. He described how Nancy laughed at her own dinner table that night, telling a story about her late husband over dessert.
Returning to our top story this evening in the on.
Okay, important video there. I got one more short one, and we'll get to that 121, and then last one will be Billy.
Welcome back. This morning, Epstein abuse survivors are calling for justice once again. The DOJ released more documents over the weekend, and an MS Now analysis found in the release of just 20 documents comprising of fewer than 1,000 pages, the first or last names of at least 21 known or suspected survivors were exposed. Some of these names were left unredacted multiple times. This new release coming after reports that the DOJ withheld and removed documents related to a woman who had made accusations against President Trump. The president has denied any wrongdoing. Our next guest is one of the survivors whose name was divulged in this newest release. Danielle Bensky is joining us now. And Danielle, I know this is now the third release where your privacy has not been respected.
Yeah.
What is it like to have this happen over and over and over again?
Horribly distressing for survivors because, you know, we've had so many conversations with the Democrats, the Republicans, we're in offices and we're constantly saying how important the redaction process is and getting it right is. And you would think that after twice already, especially after the last release where, you know, our lawyers talk to them, everybody's, you know, there's been so much conversation around this topic. And then to see it yet again on Friday or Thursday, I believe it was, is just, it's really beyond, I mean, frustrating puts it so mildly.
Yeah.
It's gutting. It's gutting when you're scrolling through. It's like, you know, we're all in the files a lot of the time to see what's there, what's not there, and make sure that we're placing everything. And you don't expect to see your name, of course, right? And so as you're scrolling to see your name, it just brings up, it really is a level of PTSD that survivors are met with often.
Yeah, that re-traumatization.
Yeah.
That's got to be so, so tough. Of course, the Justice Department has talked about making mistakes. So these are redaction errors. Do you think these could be redaction errors? Do you feel like the DOJ is operating in good faith?
I really want to believe that. I think, you know, I start to feel like a conspiracy theorist because I'm like, there's no way, right? Like, but it does feel like it has to be a choice at some point because there were so many redactions in that document. Like it was a document of 582 pages, I believe. And most things are redacted. And then to see my name just blatantly like right there after my full name was redacted on the top, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to believe that it could be to harm survivors.
Like retaliation or something for speaking out?
I don't want to believe that.
Yeah.
But at that point, I wonder if it feels like more of a choice, right? To leave certain survivors' names in. I'm not sure, to be honest. But I know that it just, it harbors a lot of feelings for survivors. And honestly, it makes us spiral because it brings us right back to that moment of, at that moment, that was a 2008 302. So the 302 is the FBI report from a call that I made. And I just, it just puts me right back in that mindset. So I think overall, the systems have really failed us time and time again. And even back in 2008, I remember law enforcement not really treating us, well, to be honest. I felt like I was always, it was like an interrogation, it wasn't this sense of like, oh, you're a survivor of Jeffrey Epstein's. It was so get to the truth, which I understand that they needed to do that. But there was so much fear involved at that age. And so just reading it again and knowing that, the world shouldn't have access to these private conversations about abuse. And so it's exhausting to constantly tell lawmakers that.
And yet you've continued to speak out because I know you want this to be done right.
Yeah.
You want justice and accountability. You want transparency. You want to be believed clearly. Now the House Oversight Committee has voted to subpoena the Attorney General over handling of these files. The political pressure is really building. You're hearing some Democrats saying that she needs to go. This coming after the ouster of Secretary Noem last week. What questions would you like to see Bondi answer? And do you think she should lose her job?
I mean, I think she needs to answer why the redactions have been done so poorly. At every turn, she said that a group of lawyers have been doing it. I almost would feel better if she said AI was doing it and just didn't catch it. And if that is the truth, then she needs to reveal that. We just really need some answers, and we're so tired of just asking questions and not being met. I think that she needs to answer the questions before I think survivors can say whether she should be impeached or not.
In recent weeks, we have seen former Prince Andrew arrested in connection with the Epstein files. We had the depositions of the Clintons. And now in the coming months, other high-profile figures are expected to testify, including Bill Gates. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has agreed to appear for a transcribed interview. Do you feel like the wheels of justice are turning?
I think so. I think it's important to remember that there are just so many layers to this story and so many levels of co-conspirators. And, we're getting to the ugly truth of a lot of it. And that feels, good in some respects, but also just it's complex. And we need to remember that. But I think as we continue to see more people subpoenaed, I think we gain more answers. So yeah, that feels good.
Danielle Bensky, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And it's good to see your smile.
Thank you.
Best of luck always. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to check something out here, you guys. I don't know. Did we do news for 7 hours ago? 7 hours ago, so I don't know what time that was. Yeah, I think we played that one. Okay, we're going to do that 20-minute one and then Billy Bean. You guys remember this one?
Stuff that was going on there. Yes, actually, and actually, the stuff I've read about, as far as to the degree that I can have certitude about what you can find on the internet, that stuff that was going on there, and just the layout of the island gives an indication that it was heavily involved in the occult. The other thing I should mention too is that people don't get heavy into that type of thing. It's the same thing that we've seen elsewhere, where guys who suffer from homosexuality and they're active and they're very heavily active, it very often degenerates into ritualistic sex. It's the same kind of a thing there, that it eventually degenerates. Satan ends up just driving them because these disorders, they're so disordered that he gets involved.
I'm gonna not play that one, you guys. I'm gonna finish off with Billy Bean, you guys. This will be the last one to come back at 6 o'clock. We got now 47 minutes tonight.
All might mean your foundation is sinking.
Welcome to Truth by Billy Bean. Today's date, March 9, 2026, time in Texas, about 1 p.m. Some of the things we'll cover: President Trump, a hit on Iran brings protection for Taiwan. And bookies are now taking bets on the Ayatollah #2. And we have this. Yes, sleeper cells are being activated by Iran around the world. And what can we say about oil? $110 a barrel. Let's get started. So we have this report this morning. West Texas oil is up to 101 plus per barrel. The Brent measure, 106 plus per barrel. We're hearing from Asia, up to 120 per barrel. Now, it appears from this early this morning until about midday that oil has stabilized in many markets at $100 per barrel. And we have the South Korea stock market also going down in value 8%. So that's going on. And with regard to the U.S. and Israel's hit on Iran that has brought about a stop in the Strait of Hormuz in this area, with oil stopping on a global basis, 20% of it. President Trump has said a hit on Iran brings protection for Taiwan. And we do know from Chinese experts that this decrease in the amount of oil coming from Iran to China has stopped China ships and planes over Taiwan since the beginning of this conflict. So we see President Trump's brilliant plan against America's #1 enemy, China, is very much working. So that's going on. We have from Steve Coyle's aggregate site Discern report. So we saw yesterday, March 8, that the Iran Islamic Republic selected another Ayatollah. This will be Ayatollah #2, according to my labeling of this individual, Mojtaba Khamenei, the #2 son of the previous Ayatollah. So this is Ayatollah #2. And we're hearing that he's even more hardline than his father. We're also hearing that he's never made a public speech, so no one even knows what his voice sounds like. But we have other reports coming out. Bloomberg had done a 1-year study on the background of Ayatollah #2.
Are you researching dental implants?
There's a lot of dental offices that'll talk about doing their teeth in a day.
Demonstrating that he holds hundreds of millions of dollars of real estate and financial companies operating through shell companies on a global basis, based primarily in London and Europe. So we see ties between the current Ayatollah number 2 and the deep state financial base in London. And many believe that the EU and NATO also have ties to the deep state, because we see NATO and Europe not aligned with the US and Israel against Iran. Iran, a member of the BRICS, an alternate economic base versus America and Israel. So we see that going on. And we have a recent interview of Martin Armstrong, globally famous economist by Palisades Gold Radio, that Martin Armstrong's predictive software Socrates puts forth this will be a long conflict in Iran, lasting possibly up to 2 to 3 years. I submit there is a basis for this in my thinking, and that is I don't believe the military conflict will last 2 to 3 years. I do believe the U.S. involvement in Iran could last 2 to 3 years. First, we have the military takedown of Iran by the U.S. and Israel. Then there will be a transition space for government changes inside Iran, which could easily take 2 to 3 years. So we have this. Socrates, the predictive software of Martin Armstrong, also predicts we could likely see in our markets major sell-offs. And that Iran is not Venezuela. But I submit Iran is part of President Trump's and the U.S. government and the U.S. military's brilliant plan to take down our number one enemy, China. And this involves Venezuela, South America, Central America, Cuba, Mexico, Canada eventually, who's intent on allowing the CCP military to bivouac in Canada, along with many nations in the EU. And I say to President Trump, we need to get America out of NATO. What do we see occurring right now? We see the CCP puppet boy, Keir Starmer, leader of the UK, stabbing America in the back at the beginning of this conflict. Oh no, the U.S. can't use the Fairford military base located close to London, nor the Diego Garcia base that's located out in this area. We have India, Sri Lanka, Diego Garcia Island. No, the UK said, we own those locations, and America, you can't use them to hit Iran. But ding dong, once Iran started hitting a UK base in Cyprus, then the UK, Keir Starmer, turned to the US for the US to place their military on Fairford base located close to London and on the island of Cyprus to protect the UK military. And now UK military analysts are coming out and saying that over the past 20 years, the UK military has been so decimated, and I submit this has been a long-term plan by the CCP, but that the UK military has been so degraded that the UK military cannot defend either the UK nor UK bases located in other parts of the world. America and President Trump have graciously put U.S. forces on the Fairford base near London and on the Cyprus Island.
Headway has provided an incredible sense of freedom to have a practice in a way that I want to live.
So I saw this app, DTF St. Louis.
What's DTF?
Down
to protect the people of the UK and the UK military located in Cyprus. So people of the UK, you need to wake up and understand that the CCP has already taken you down. Your military cannot defend your people nor your bases in other parts of the world. So that's going on. And we have this. We have, yes. So we're hearing from CCP, I believe, CCP manipulated media sources, including the AP and the BBC, that an initial hit at the beginning of this conflict about March 1 on a girls' school in Iran was brought about by the girls' school being located adjacent to an IRGC base. The IRGC launched a missile that malfunctioned and hit the girls' school. Now, the AP and BBC are coming out and saying, no, it was America who hit that girls' school. I got this to say to both the AP and the BBC. You need to be careful here. BBC is the primary media platform in the UK. And now, as has been demonstrated, the UK cannot defend itself. And even though the UK stabbed America in the back militarily, the America is graciously now guarding your shores. And you come out with this CCP propaganda that it was America who hit the girls' school. I got this to say to the AP and the BBC, shut up. And we have this going on.
Shut up.
So we have from the China Observer that apparently there's now a big problem with China's alternate satellite system to the U.S. GPS system. China's alternate GPS system called Bendo is having some real problems. Well, I wonder how that is happening. And we have this, that it's being degraded in Iran by U.S. recon planes and also Growler planes, and the U.S. Space Force Age technology to engage in electronic warfare. So that's going on. And we have this from 2CTV. So we had yesterday 50 ammo depots hit inside Iran, used by the IRGC. That's the IRGC is the military arm of the Islamic Republic. The IRGC is not, its number one purpose is not to protect Iran, but to protect its government, similar to the system we see in China, where the Chinese military's primary purpose is not to protect China, but to protect the CCP. We see that also operative in Iran. And we have that yesterday we saw then a public demonstration of the Islamic Republic naming the Ayatollah's number 2 son as the supreme leader, and a very large public celebration where we had the number 2 son come out, and we had the many members of the IRGC in the massive outdoor area.
Remount and recover with the Planet Fitness Black Cord.
Join and get your first month free. Deal ends March 13th.
Tortoise wins. Tortoise wins. An upset for the ages.
And you may say, well, why didn't the U.S. and Israel hit the number 2 son and the IRGC at that time? That's because there were tens of thousands of also Iranian civilians in that area. So the U.S., who values life, didn't hit the number 2 Ayatollah, nor the IRGC at that time. Now, we are hearing that bookies in Las Vegas and around the world are now taking bets on the life expectancy of Ayatollah number 2. And we have this from Redacted. Russia warns the U.S. against hitting Iran. We know that Russia and China have agreements with Iran, and we understand those are primarily economic, not military. And we're hearing that Steve Witkoff, special envoy for President Trump, also sent a message to Russia for Russia to stop providing intel to Iran. We understand that both Russia and China are now providing intel to Iran. I think it's only a matter of time before possibly those Russian and Chinese satellites are having problems. So that's going on. We have a top Russian official, Lavrov, telling the UN that Russia is trying to take down de-escalate what's going on in Iran, and that Russia wants the UN to condemn this conflict. I put forth that America and Israel are hitting Iran because Iran poses a threat to both America and Israel. I believe they already have nukes, and recently, a few days ago, heard that the IRGC is now juicing up their current 60% supply of uranium to make nukes. So that's going on. And we have this. So we have that Israel is also hitting hard in Lebanon and Iranian proxy Hezbollah. But we're also seeing hard hits on Israel by Iran. They have hit Tel Aviv, and yesterday, March 8th, there was a blackout in Tel Aviv about 10 o'clock last night, Eastern Standard Time. And Iran has hit in Tel Aviv Israeli power plants with dozens of ballistic missiles. And that Iran yesterday also hit the Haifa port in Israel and an oil refinery. We saw also yesterday Israel hitting in Iran near Tehran, their capital, an oil refinery. We have this from Canadian Prepper, that the U.S. is evacuating the U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia. That happened yesterday. And we're hearing that Iran is activating sleeper cells on a global basis against America, with the U.S. Embassy in Oslo, Norway, hit over the weekend with a bomb. We understand.
Hey, Maria, yeah, Kay's didn't know I was coming on. I gave him the link and everything, but she can't do two shows. There's a lot of news coming out, so I'm going to be doing two shows because there's too much to cover out. And we got Mel 47 minutes we'll play tonight. And then Miss Billy might come out again tonight probably. And I got a bunch more other stuff tonight. Yeah. We got 11 minutes on this one, then I'll be back at 6.
And there was damage to the embassy, but there were no casualties, and the U.S. Embassy in Oslo, Norway is being evacuated, as is the U.S. Embassy in Saudi Arabia. We see also Gulf states now operating offensively against Iran, aligning militarily with the U.S. and Israel against Iran, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, Kuwait. So that's going on. And we have this. There also was a Iranian sleeper cell activated in New York City over the weekend, with several bombs found near the home of New York City Mayor Mandami. And so that's going on. We also had an oil refinery hit by Iran near Bahrain over the weekend. And we have this.
Losing your hair? Tired of hiding and looking older than you
Got a
really
lot of
are? With
commercials on
Bosley,
this
you can
one.
get your real hair back permanently. One visit, one.
So the Strait of Hormuz is being closed, or right now, not necessarily by Iran, but definitely by the conflict going on against Iran. And we're hearing that up to 100,000 U.S. troops could be going to the Middle East, and that the U.S. military could use special forces to gain control of the Strait of Hormuz and Iranian islands located in the area of the Strait of Hormuz, where Iran has military assets. And it's believed also by many sources that Iran is actively prepping to make a nuke and to use it. We would speculate that Iran, once they have a nuke ready, would hit Israel with it. And we have this, that an Iranian IRGC Air Force base was hit Sunday. So that's going on. And we have this, that, the U.S. military has been hit. Yes. So initially in this conflict, a U.S. military base located near Saudi Arabia was hit by Iran. We, sad to say, have a 7th U.S. military soldier who has passed away. They were hit in this initial attack by Iran on the U.S. military base in Saudi Arabia, March 1. And our hearts, thoughts, and prayers also and condolences go out to the family and friends of the 7th U.S. military soldier who has passed away. And this announcement is being put out by CENTCOM. And we have this that, yes, so yesterday is when the Islamic Republic said, oh, we have Ayatollah number 2. And we also have that yesterday Israel took down a Ayatollah team player who was the head of the Ayatollah military branch, Abu Bagayan. He had been in office 7 days. And we have this, that Iran also yesterday hit Saudi Arabia, killed 2, and one was a individual from India, one from Bangladesh. That's the 2 dead. 12 were injured, and they were all from Bangladesh. That happened in Saudi Arabia. And that was a central base, Al-Kharaj. So that's going on. And we have this, that, yeah. So Israel has a team, has hit 600 Iranian sites. That happened Sunday. Iranian sites located in Lebanon, with a reported death toll of 400. And that CENTCOM has sent messages to the Iranian people yesterday, Sunday, that the IRGC is now actively using civilian locations. As I mentioned, the IRGC was the one responsible for that hit on the girls' school early in this conflict. But now the IRGC is actively hiding in civilian areas to launch attacks. That's because the IRGC understands that the U.S. and Israel do not want to hit civilian areas. So that's going on. But CENTCOM put out a warning Sunday to the people of Iran: stay at your home and don't congregate on the streets, because there's a threat to the people of Iran by the IRGC. So that's going on. And we have this. We have that.
Headway has said we're going to get higher reimbursement rates than therapists can normally receive from insurance.
Drivers, when we're stopped and you see our lights are flashing, use yours.
Just about over.
Israel has a General Aboud Guest, who's heading up Israel's strategic coalition versus Iran. And Iran, this is an Arab coalition and headed up by the Secretary General of the Arab Coalition, not involving Israel. This is an Arab coalition of the Gulf states headed up by Secretary General Abu Guest, who's now putting in place a military response collectively by the Gulf states in coalition with the U.S. and Israel against Iran. So we see the Arab nations organizing militarily against Iran. And we have this, that Israel yesterday has hit inside Lebanon 400 targets. And we also saw yesterday a hit on the oil facility in Iran by Israel. And we have intel that there is a deep break occurring inside Iran between its government and its military. And we're hearing thousands are defecting from both the IRGC and the Iranian military. So that's going on. It's good to be in prayer for America, President Trump, the U.S. military, and world peace. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Now, Trevor.
Oh boy. Well, we got her out of the way so we can get the other ones tonight. But we're going to do the short ones at the beginning till we get everybody in. For Mel will be 47, I think. Her video from her intel. And so I got it all listed up and ready to go for 6 o'clock. Everybody have a good dinner, and I'll see you after dinner. God bless everybody. Love all. Please like and make sure you sub to the backup channels in the description box, please. Thank you, and thanks. We only had Pioneer just come in for a minute, and Tim was the only one in there for mod. Yep, he was listening. Yeah, we'll see you back at 6, and Squad should be coming in for Nell there tonight, 47. Stay safe, stay strong, keep the faith. And the sign says, never give up. Signing off for show 1, Chico Dude. We'll see you in a few hours.